can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your nonprofit origin story?
Hi, Tasha. I'm Maya. My nonprofit story is actually, I think, longer than I consciously understand it because I started donating to nonprofits when I was 11. It was animals who always were my passion, animal rights. My nonprofit origin goes way back when I was a little girl and I collected some, I don't know, $30 for my birthday back in Ukraine. My parents were not really encouraging that. They asked me if I wanted to buy something for myself, but I was just giving all this money to the shelters in Kiev region. Right now, I actually run an animal rights nonprofit, a small one. When Russia invaded Ukraine, when Russia started the full scale invasion, we understood that we have to act really fast, that animals will be so deeply affected by war. And at first, we very quickly, within 2 months, we evacuated 70 animals. We rehomed them in Europe. Our organization is like a godparent to so many animals. But then we actually shifted to delivering pet food and supplies for stray animals of Ukraine. So we understood that by feeding the animals that unfortunately do not have a chance to find a home in Europe, we can save more lives, we can feed more animals. And so we have already fed over 100,000 animals,
That's
mostly
amazing.
mostly in the most dangerous regions at the front lines, those who just remain with maybe one caretaker, and like it might be a house full of 70, 100 animals, and they're under care of these civilian volunteers who have never done animal rights, animal shelters before, and we try to support them as much as possible. So yeah, this has been our journey. And also professionally, I have been working with nonprofits for over 8 years. We have been running a creative and tech studio, and I've also been consulting nonprofits on all things marketing, social media, corporate partnerships, like all things fun, I would say.
So you're just living and breathing nonprofit in your like day job and at all hours.
Exactly. And I couldn't be more happy about it.
I love that. So how big is the team? Like how many people are you working with? Is it mostly volunteers with your nonprofit? How does that work? I'm so curious because those are huge numbers in that amount of time.
Not huge enough. We're more ambitious than that. But yeah, we have so far delivered just 15 tons of pet food. But we now have for this year, we have 35 more pending, already secured, all on their way to Ukraine. So I'm quite happy about this year. We're a small team actually. And it's funny because we didn't know each other before. We just kind of assembled, like met each other and all. We're all female and non-binary folks with immigrant backgrounds. So like the underdogs coming together to build something meaningful. We're all volunteers. We all have full-time jobs. But I think like assembling such a team, like you would never be able to do it on purpose. We have an award-winning cinematographer in our team who is just like agreeing to shoot some doggos. She shoots some huge feature films that are presented at festivals, and now she has been with us since the beginning and she's shooting just some doggos. I think it's really beautiful. Team building is something so magical. If you're intentional about who you're looking for, you will find the best people.
That's incredible. I love it. I love it so much. What's been your favorite part? I mean, been working with nonprofits and so there's that part, but starting your own nonprofit, what's your favorite part been?
We had a marketing campaign with a like minded corporate partner, and this campaign resulted in our biggest in kind donation ever. It was 32 tons of pet food going to Ukraine. This is an insane amount. It will feed, I think, 250,000 animals, it will feed.
That's
Um,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's like insane to comprehend. But the best part about this partnership is that I've been fangirling with over this brand for so long. This is a vegan pet food brand, and I'm vegan, so it's just something that I really wanted to do. I was thinking for so long, how do I approach them? Do we find someone who knows them or something? And I ended up just shooting a cold email to the founder. She replied within 10 minutes, and we have built a partnership on top of that. So that's why I'm always advocating for cold emailing the mission aligned companies, because you never know who's going to be your next partner. And unless you shoot them an email, you just kind of have to wait until they learn about you organically. And this has been so effective. This campaign has been so effective for both us and them. It's so funny. I was looking at this cold email that I sent her. It sounds like me in a way that it's like ultra exciting, and I didn't try to sound like, this professional nonprofit leader or something. But what I did, I clearly highlighted the benefits that this partnership could bring both to us and to them. And these are the results that we achieved. Well, we overachieved our results. Whenever I'm speaking to a nonprofit who is like, I wish we had this huge law firm donating to us, or this huge, I don't know, like Disney donating to us. But the question is, did you ask them? Do you think that if you're so aligned, you just have to shoot this email?
I couldn't agree more. I think alignment is so important, right? And when we're talking about corporate partnerships or brand sponsorships or any of those things, who do you see out there that you admire? Because probably if you admire them, your values are probably very similar, right? If it
Exactly.
resonates with you and you watch it and you love it.
Yeah,
And sometimes those relationships happen very fast. But I would say oftentimes the relationships slowly ramp up because they start paying attention to you. What are they doing? What are you doing as your nonprofit out in the world?
exactly.
It might take a year, but I think those are great conversations to just start production. Be yourself, especially if you have a founder, like a founder with your personality and the passion and the drive. No, you have to be yourself, because if you keep it all polished, then they're not getting a real version of what they're actually signing up for even.
Exactly. Also, kind of this win-win situation is we got a few celebrity endorsements for our tiny little nonprofit, huge celebrities. The thing is that, like, when I was approaching them, it felt like they might say no because we're a small nonprofit, and what is it for them, right? Like, there is nothing. We're just trying to tap into their audience. But in the end, when we launched these collaborations, we had Chile Gonzalez, we had a Playboy superstar, who are all
Love it.
so incredible humans and they really care about our mission. We actually had, because it was like a collaboration post on Instagram, so it was in their feed and in our feed. Of course, we had reached like tens of thousands of people who never knew we existed. But what it was for them, they also received comments like, wow, it's so nice of you to support animals. Or someone said, I didn't know that you're vegan. Oh my God, now I love you even more. So it's always a win win situation, even when you think that I'm small, they're huge. So they will say no, or it makes no sense for them to endorse us. But you never know, like, you can build it to be a win win situation, like reputation building. Or this Playboy model, she actually came out as vegan after we posted this collaboration because she
That's
was giving us like a little interview. And yeah, so it should never be about like just asking for money. It should be about like, how can we align in a way that we support each other's mission? We drive, let's say, revenue for a corporate partner, we drive PR opportunities, we drive some great milestones for their impact reports, and they help us achieve our mission. They help us deliver the goods, they help us help the people, or whatever the mission might be.
Yeah. I think marketing is one of the places that I would say when they talk about nonprofit being run like for profit, marketing is a good spot to start, right? Because
Yep.
there's so much about for profit marketing. The same rules apply to nonprofits, right?
Exactly.
You may have a smaller budget, you may not be able to do as much ads and all of those pieces, but the same way that we are all convinced we need another pair of yoga leggings, well, it does work. Like we those same messages, the same like things that jump out to us when our purchasing power, like it does apply
Mhm.
also to nonprofit, right? Just that,
Mhm.
and like you noted, there's lots of great people who have some influence, potentially locally, but potentially internationally, who are going to look at your mission and go, this is amazing. I want to align with what they're doing. And it
Exactly.
takes work to find them, but pretty cool to have that opportunity. I love it.
I think if you ask a nonprofit, like who would be your go-to partner, and let's say it's maybe a nonprofit that provides educational resources or workshop or something, they will say, Disney, Netflix, and they already have this list of dream partners, right? You just have to write it down and then go to, there are tools where you can search for emails of the specific person that you're looking into, and it's legal to use these tools. Like, again, for profit uses it all the time. Like how many emails you get from e-bike seller. I don't know why they
All
think I bike. I didn't bike. But they found my email somewhere. So I think it's not a question of even like, at least for the first maybe like 100 partners to reach out to, it's not a question of thinking for a week with a team, who should we approach? But I think on top of your head, you already have so many ideal partners who you're looking up to, be it people as celebrities or thought leaders, but also corporations, also companies.
I love that. That's fantastic. And challenges that you've found since you started your own nonprofit, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges?
I think for us, it was how do we speak in a way that we speak to many of our donor personas. We have so many different people who support us, and they're all quite different. We don't have it that our donor persona is in their 30s, they live here, they speak this language. We actually developed, it was like this at the beginning. We understood that we have to speak English versus maybe Ukrainian or German or another language.
Yeah.
But we had it very generalized, who is our supporter. But then we started to break down the most prominent personas that we had into different personas. Because someone who, like, for example, we went live on a techno radio in Berlin. It was really fun. It was really weird. And a lot of like DJs and electronic music communities started supporting us. And like they're a different donor persona type than, let's say, a corporate partner who we
Yeah.
had since we began. So I think the most challenging thing for us was to find this tone of voice that we sound like ourselves, we sound like our team, but also that we speak to all these different types of people. So someone is more motivated by emotional stories, but someone may be easily triggered by those emotional stories, especially for us dealing with war realities. We try to keep our content very hopeful. We never want to make people feel hopeless about animal homelessness in Ukraine, because it is quite hopeless, but we can fix it a little bit step by step. And so I think it was a lot of experiments when we posted something or we published something that was unfortunately triggering to so many people and they felt devastated. So we removed that and we understood that this is not going to stay in our guideline. We will not post these stories. They can see those stories in like mass media because they're so huge and so tragic and so bad and everything. But for us, it's always trying to find this positive note and this hopeful feeling that, look, you can feed so many animals, you can change so many lives, you can evacuate so many animals. And at some point, we also understood that many of our supporters, for themselves, they're trying to tie our mission to how we also help humans by helping animals. And we started to position ourselves this way that, and it's true, that by helping animal shelters who are mostly run by women, we also help these women and we empower these women that there will always be support from Europe, from the US, from Canada, from across the globe. And it worked so well. We did an interview with an owner of one of the shelters that we work with. She's in her 30s. She's a new mom and she runs the shelter with 700 animals. And
Crazy number.
it's a superwoman. I don't know how many hours a day she has, but we decided to feature her as a person. This is the shelter, this is what help they need from us, but as a person. And so many supporters of ours actually fell in love with her and started donating to her directly, which is essentially our goal, to be this bridge between English speaking world and Ukraine's incredible charities, incredible animal rights charities. So I think we achieved this goal, at least with this shelter. So yeah, I think it's always a challenge to come back to analyze the supporters you already have, the supporters that you want to get, because those might be different people oftentimes, and kind of get back to realigning how you show up in the world.
Well, and I know you and I had connected initially over our shared marketing background. And oftentimes these are the skills that small nonprofits don't have, right? They don't have the marketing background to be able to tell what is working, what isn't working, what you could be doing next. I know it's been super advantageous for me as a startup to have a marketing background. As much as the tech has been important, obviously the tech is how we move the nonprofit hive forward. The marketing and the people behind it and who is part of this community has been so much more powerful, and people will forgive me for sometimes the tech not being perfect and all of that stuff because the marketing is really good. I think it does make a difference, but it's something a lot of nonprofits struggle to invest in.
Yeah, I think like for many people in the sector, because we're also overworked, overwhelmed, the teams are small compared to not even corporations, but a normal local business. The teams are small in the sector. But I think the question of marketing is that each task, let's say you want to get more followers on social media, or you want to get more leads via SEO, you want to get more donors via SEO. Now we have to think about AI optimization so that ChatGPT recommends your nonprofit. I think it's a question of that each task sounds so daunting and so big, but it's a question of turning this like huge task of we want to grow on social media into some small baby steps that you can easily take and have the team on align on. So you don't have to analyze every follower that starts following you, but if your goal is to get more followers, you have to get back to that maybe like once a month, to see the Instagram insights or Facebook or LinkedIn, to get a bigger picture and also new ideas. So I think it's a question of, it sounds so complex. How do I learn marketing? You know yourself how many branches there are that
So much.
that make this whole picture either work or not. But I think it's a life science, like you just have to start with something.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love this. And so you've been a Hive member. I think I'm not sure what the length of time is, but I know you've done like somewhere around 15, I think, calls since you started. So you've jumped right in, which I love. And I think we have 4 members in Germany. I actually don't know if we have anyone who's directly living in the Ukraine right now, but just love to have this international outlook and influence on the Hive. What have you gotten out of being a member of the Nonprofit Hive?
I just literally before recording this, I had a call with a Hive member outside. It's Monday, right? It's not the
It's
nonprofit Hive
Monday. Yeah.
day. France, actually. And I should say, I have been quite actively searching for a nonprofit community. And I've been a member of so many inactive Slack channels or Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups. And then at some point, I was just hopeless. I thought there is no active nonprofit community, which is sad, you know. But then I asked on Reddit, and they recommended joining Nonprofit Hive. And they said, this is the one. This is the one that you're looking for. But the challenge was, I'm an introvert, believe it or not.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It was such a big step for me. I remember I had the website tab open on my phone for maybe 2 weeks before I registered, because it felt like such a big dedication for a person who is not extroverted, you know, commit to having this weekly or whatever your tempo is, chats with people who you don't know. But from the first chat, it was clear that we have something in common. We're in the sector. I think what it gives me so much fresh perspective. And every call that I have, I live with my worldview being a little bit wider than it was before the call. Either it's a
Yeah.
new cause that I learn about, or it's a new geographical uniqueness or cultural context that I learn about. And it just makes my leading my nonprofit even a little bit easier, because I can always ask someone about the challenge that I'm facing. And there is a good chance that they have faced this before and they solved this issue before. So I think like the sector is so unique that we need our own community. You cannot really talk to head of partnerships of Netflix about your challenges.
It's so different, right? And part of my dream and hope for the future is that we're able to go, oh, here's where the nonprofit marketers, like that there'll be different spaces for different types of
Yep.
people within the sector. But if you want to meet anyone in the sector, anywhere in the world, there'll be this, the Nonprofit Hive exists to fill that need.
Yep.
But no, it's been lovely. And I love the just international perspective that's coming in, because too often the North Americans put their heads down and believe we're the center of the universe, and we're not. And
True.
there's so much we can
True.
learn from everyone else about how nonprofit could be done differently. And we need that right now. We need
Exactly.
all brains on solving nonprofits.
Yeah, even getting another perspective on things, like it works ABC for you, but it works XYZ in another region.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of, it still will work the same for you and the same for them. But now you have a wider perspective on things, that I'm privileged to have it like this, or that person is privileged to have it like this. And then you're like getting back to your work, appreciating your work more and more, because you learn how different it is for everyone, you know?
Yeah, I think that's great. So this has been amazing. Two things. One, I would like you to quickly mention a cool startup that you are also involved in, because we've connected over being female startup founders in the tech space, but marketers. So tell me a little bit about Queet. I want to hear a bit more to introduce it.
Yeah, the whole journey I have with the nonprofit sector and the challenges that I had at running my nonprofit and consulting nonprofits, I started building a tool for my nonprofit organization that would help me this challenge that I mentioned, talking to different donor personas and trying to keep a consistent tone of voice and be effective in fundraising. So now me and my co-founder, we have closed our studio and we're building a tool, an AI-powered tool that helps nonprofit organizations speak to their donors more effectively, be it via social media or annual reports, website. So it's a communication tool. But we also take a deep dive at social media specifically, because I believe it's a big vehicle that is not as difficult as it can seem like. And I think that there is a huge potential in social media for nonprofits, because there are millions of people out there scrolling daily. And it's a question of, do you want them to see you or not? So we're building this tool that will help nonprofit organizations not only communicate more efficiently, but also manage their social media easier. But we are ambitious. We want to build the best AI-powered nonprofit growth tool. We'll
Hey,
see how it goes.
I love ambitious people, particularly in the nonprofit space. And obviously, you have such a great inside track running your own nonprofit to know how challenging the social media part can be. How can
Mhm.
people, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, follow along with your nonprofit, learn more about the tool that you're building?
I love LinkedIn, and I'm a big advocate for LinkedIn for nonprofits, because I think also there is so much untapped potential on LinkedIn that nonprofits can leverage.
This is the name, and I'll put in the show notes links to all of the different places that people can find you. But thank you so much for doing this with
Thank
me.
you
It's
so
been
much.
lovely to meet you. And I think every time that I get talking with others in the sector, I learn about, like you said, it's a new nonprofit, it's a new outlook. It's giving me a more full view of what nonprofit looks like around the world. And I feel like I'm constantly learning, which is great, right? We
Exactly.
need to keep doing that.
Exactly. It's always great talking to you, Tasha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.